Freddy tore across the region, bringing with it heavy rains that triggered floods and landslides. Most of those killed were in Malawi, where authorities now face a desperate battle to get aid and supplies to the thousands displaced. Malawi's president, Lazarus Chakwera, has called on the international community to help stave off an impending humanitarian crisis in a country now united in grief.
Bucket by bucket, they bury the dead. Funerals for the victims of landslides triggered by days of heavy rain. It's an emotionally charged and a painstaking battle against the elements. But they keep going. This is a country in mass mourning. Hundreds have lost their lives here in the wake of Cyclone Freddy. And in Blantyre, one of the worst affected areas, more coffins are lined up under a rain-soaked tent. Malawi's president joining the queue of people, paying their respects.
You cannot help but shed tears because loved ones, one whole family, completely wiped out, and so many others that have been touched. You feel sad that we are at the receiving end of climatic changes that, you feel helpless.
And that sense of helplessness is easy to understand when you see the lives shattered by this giant storm. Like so many now, this family are trying to recover what they can from the wreckage of their home, but say they had little time to save their possessions.
I had no idea as to what impact the storm would have. I just realized that there was a heavy downpour when the house here and on the other side collapsed. So I was shocked, but really I was confused and didn't know what was happening.
Of the tens of thousands now displaced, some have ended up in crisis centres, like this one set up in a school. Many of those here are women and children in desperate need of food and water. But supplies are running short, and getting more aid through is proving difficult, with many roads and bridges now destroyed. Adding to a growing humanitarian crisis in a country already struggling with a cholera outbreak. And as the emergency response now turns into a recovery mission, with more bodies than survivors being pulled from the mud and debris, the death toll and lasting impact of this national tragedy is only expected to become even greater.
Let's get more on this from Pooh Selecho Mofoking. He's senior forecaster in disaster risk reduction from the South African Weather Service. Hello, sir. Cyclone Freddy made landfall twice or three times and lingered on for so long. What makes it unique from previous other storms?
Yes, it made three landfalls over Madagascar, in Mozambique, back to Mozambique Channel, which is the ocean between Madagascar and Mozambique. And after that, it moved finally to Mozambique again. So that's where it died down, just south of Malawi. So that was the first record. It had to do with the length of it, but also the zigzagging of it. I think it turned around a lot. So other cyclones had one track, maybe 110, but this one had so many tens. So that's another important record that might have been broken.
Okay, I mean, if I got you correctly, you're saying Cyclone Freddy is the longest ever cyclone in recorded history. Is that right?
Most certainly, that is correct.
Okay. Now, extreme weather events are quite common in Malawi and neighboring countries. Why do they keep happening?
Well, the extreme weather conditions happen everywhere. The whole difference is how prepared people are. I did hear one of the officials in Malawi indicating that it's because of the fact that they are having difficulty to speak with the people on time. But as of the forecast, we had issued the forecast on time.
Is there anything unique about the region that makes extreme weather events quite common there?
I love that on Alaska Airlines, you can earn miles 30% faster than on any other major U.S. airline.
Yeah.
Number one, it would be that Mozambique is actually a flat country, so these storms are actually moving with relative ease over Mozambique. That is perhaps one reason. As you move, for example, to Zimbabwe, most of the storms would actually die down because then you have a lot of friction with high mountains and all that. You don't have that in Mozambique. So besides the fact that the ocean is warm, or sometimes it's abnormally warm, so we also have the issue of the flat surface around Mozambique, which make these systems to actually have relatively free movements, therefore causing a lot of hail. But at the same time, even the governments themselves, if you compare Mozambique and Malawi, I think Mozambique had a better plan to respond to this storm this time around.
That sounds about right. Now, scientists say human-caused climate change has worsened cyclone activity, making them more intense and more frequent. So should we expect more storms like Freddy?
The simple answer, or should I say the relatively simple answer, is to say yes, we can expect storms to be more and more extreme in terms of frequency, also in terms of the intensity. So that's what we can expect. You would remember even in South Africa we had heavy rain that actually had international headlines. So indeed, it's not only South Africa, but many other countries are having these extreme conditions. So we can expect more of such even beyond the tropical cyclones.
That sounds